If you or a loved one have been a victim of domestic violence, help is available. Speak with someone today. You can contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available in English, Spanish, and over 200 languages through interpretation service. You can dial them at 1-800-799-7233. Again, that's 1-800-799-7233, or text BEGIN, that's BEGIN, to 88788. WWE Universe, the D-Lou podcast is now a brand affiliate of WWE Shop with Fanatics. Get all of your latest merchandise from your favorite WWE superstars and wear them proud. So if it's CM Punk, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, L.A. Knight, the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, or legends like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Bret the Hitman Hart, again, you can get all of your favorite merchandise over at wrestling.thedlupodcast.com. Again, that's wrestling.thedlupodcast.com to get all of your favorite merchandise at WWE Shop with Fanatics. This podcast is a Believe Network and Lou Siete production. Welcome to another edition of the D-Lou podcast, brought to you by Believe Network. I'm your host, Derrick T. Lewis. I hope that this entire week has been treating you great. You know, for me, it's been a whirlwind of a week or so. You know, this past Friday night, I had an opportunity to check out some of House of Glory's event that took place in Queens, New York. Unbelievable card, unbelievable company. Is owned by the legendary Amazing Red. That dude is one of the most innovative professional wrestlers that has ever graced the face of the earth. And he has his school, it is attached to his school, and they put on some incredible shows. I keep reading about it, and I had to kind of do a favor for somebody, and I was afforded to go to this show, which is awesome. I was able to catch the end of the House of Glory Crown Jewel Championship match between Zilla Fatu and the defending champion Carlos Ramirez, in which Zilla Fatu became the new House of Glory Crown Jewel champion. I mean, this guy's only been wrestling a year, but again, look who his dad is. The late, great Umaga. I mean, he's a part of that Anoa'i Fatu bloodline. You know what I mean? So, not surprised there at all, and I'm wishing him all the best, you know, in his career, and hopefully we could see him in the WWE somewhere down the line. I did catch Megan Bayne. She was originally going to wrestle the Ultraviolet, but of course the Ultraviolet was like, no, you're going to wrestle my friend Diamond Virago, in which she did beat her. But then the commissioner came out and said, oh, no, you don't make the rules. I do. You're going to defend the championship right now, in which Megan Bayne did hit the tombstone to become the new House of Glory Women's Champion. You know, Megan Bayne, I've known, not know her personally, but just been around her a few times that we've crossed paths. But I've been following her career, you know, for the past maybe 3 or 4 years. And I got to tell you, she is one of the hottest free agents right now in the world of professional wrestling. I'm surprised she's not signed already. She has an incredible look, athleticism, you know, you name it. I mean, just her gear itself, just her entrance when she walks into the ring, she commands and demands attention. When you look at her, it's almost like the old airport test, looking like a star, and she fits the mold. She fits the bill. So I hope that somewhere down the line, you know, rather, you know, sooner than later, you know, someone is picking up the phone, you know, to have her sign a contract. Then, of course, there was the House of Glory Heavyweight Championship. You know, Mike Santana was defending against Monster Factory alum, former TNA World Heavyweight Champion Steve Macklin. You know, it was a New York street fight, and you know, pretty much everything you would expect. You know, with chairs and doors, not tables, but doors. You know, doors always work too. But Mike Santana does retain the House of Glory Heavyweight Championship, and then the main event was the Amazing Red facing the AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland. And I mean, Swerve had Prince Nana with him, Nana doing his dance, And, Swerve is really coming into his own, as the AEW World Champion. I think it's really cool that a lot of these companies are letting, especially these TV companies, the WWE, AEW, TNA, you know what I mean? They're letting their talent wrestle on the independent circuit. I think it's awesome. GCW had their Josh Barnett's Bloodsport that took place, this past Sunday, and you never know who's going to show up. Now, obviously, Shayna Baszler was already on there, and one of the Creed brothers were on the card. But out of nowhere, the now free agent MVP showed up, and he challenged Josh Barnett at the next Bloodsport. So we'll see what happens. But getting back to House of Glory, Swerve Strickland did beat Amazing Red. Again, it was in a tremendous match. I had the Monster Factory on Saturday. That's still my home promotion. No matter what, I'm still grinding. Was making in this wrestling business as a ring announcer, and of course the headline was the Monster Factory champion QT Marshall representing AEW, taking on the guy that I watched the previous night, Steve Maclin, representing TNA. And I can actually say that I hit a huge milestone in my wrestling career where I ring announced a current AEW talent and a current TNA talent in the same match. And, it was really cool to have some of the OGs of the Monster Factory, come back and, show give something back to the fans. You know what I mean? And I wasn't expecting anything less from these two. These guys have been wrestling for years. But Steve Maclin did become the brand new Monster Factory champion. But again, he's still, obviously wrestling on the indies. He's still in TNA. Danny Cage made an announcement that Monster Factory championship is now the Monster Factory Portal Championship, which means Steve Maclin can defend that championship anytime, any place, any promotion, which definitely gives the Monster Factory, the rub, so to speak, where people can say, okay, where's Monster Factory? Oh, okay. And they definitely want to check us out. So, but that leaves a championship belt basically open. So Danny Cage also announced that on August 17th, when we have the Larry Sharp Memorial Cup tournament, not only will the winner get the cup, but the winner of the tournament will be the new Monster Factory Heavyweight Champion. So it's going to be a very interesting couple of weeks, leading up to this and how this is all going to play out. And again, it's such a fun time in professional wrestling. And speaking of fun times, my gosh, as I'm recording this on a Wednesday evening, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful had confirmed with sources that a meeting did take place with Tony Khan and Shane McMahon discussing, quote-unquote, possibilities moving forward. Sean had noted that Tony had been open with talking with Shane for a while, and it was believed they had never met or even spoken before the rumors about McMahon possibly joining AEW emerged recently. And Tony had been open to using Shane for several weeks now, and it made it very clear that he was open to the idea of talking to Shane when people had brought up the topic to him backstage. So I'm interested to see how this is all going to play out with Shane, possibly being a part of All Elite Wrestling. Shane, a third generation, he might be, I think he's a fourth generation McMahon, because, you got the Roderick Jess McMahon, Vince Sr., Vince Jr., and then Shane. So he's a fourth generation, I guess you want to call him wrestler or personality or whatever the case. But, Shane McMahon has been around and knows the business inside and out. I think, if anything else, he could be a great addition, in the office or backstage, knowing the business. And I think he can help facilitate some things that maybe AEW is missing the boat on. And if it happens, great. I hope so. You know what I mean? As much as I love the fact that, WWE is in their stride right now, hey man, AEW is still a very young company, as I was alluding to, on a recent episode. They still have a long way to go. And I think adding a guy like Shane McMahon, whether it's on TV or whether it's backstage, lending, a hand in the sense of creative, or wherever the case may be, I think that could be huge for AEW. So we shall see as, as time moves forward. Also, the news that came out just recently as well is Joe Hendry, he's TNA superstar. He also has been making a lot of WWE appearances on NXT, and he was on Matt Camp's podcast called The Wrestling Match. Shout out to Matt Camp, he was with WWE, but now he's back on SiriusXM with Busted Open Radio, and he's doing his podcast, which I think is awesome that he's able to do that. But Joe Hendry was on Matt Camp's show, and he revealed that he is training full-time at the WWE Performance Center thanks to the ongoing relationship between WWE and TNA. And he said, quote, "We're in a situation where TNA Wrestling has worked it out with WWE where I can appear on TNA as a contracted talent, I can appear on NXT, and I can train at the Performance Center full-time and do indies and do signings. This is unprecedented. It's never been done before in the business, so thank you TNA and WWE for figuring it out." And he also said that, talking about Shawn Michaels, my viewpoint is that you can only do your best with the knowledge that you have at the time. So I just prepare. I have no ego when it comes to getting better. That's why I'm training at the Performance Center. I feel like I'm never going to rest on the skills that I've got. I'm always going to try to build on something more. So again, a crazy time for the wrestling industry right now. Huge. I mean, think about this. You have a TNA contracted wrestler. You obviously, if you're WWE, you have this ongoing relationship with TNA. And you're going to let the guy that's contracted to the other company train at your training facility. I mean, this is truly truly not the dawning of a new era. This is a new era. And I love it. The fact that, it's okay for wrestling companies to work together. I hope and pray someday that WWE and AEW can do something together. It's not going to be in the foreseeable near future. I could tell you that right now, based on some off-the-cuff remarks by Tony Khan, especially what he said during the NFL draft, which I thought was a bonehead decision to do. That was just uncalled for, not necessary. But it's great. I love it. I love it. And I hope that these things do continue to happen, in the wrestling space. And kudos to WWE and TNA for saying, hey, listen, it's professional wrestling. We can all get better. You know what I mean? So that's all I have in regards to wrestling newsworthy topics and things of that nature. So now let's move on to SummerSlam. It's going to be taking place at Cleveland Browns Stadium. I'm expecting probably maybe 55 to 60,000. Again, I don't follow WrestleTix that much, but I can only imagine it's going to be a pretty crazy turnout. Is this coming Saturday night? And as of right now, as I'm recording this, there are 7 matches on this card, and well, what do you know? 6 of them are championship matches. Unreal. Okay. So I don't know if this is going to be the match order. I'm assuming this is the order in which the matches were announced. We'll see as Saturday does come. But, for the World Heavyweight Championship, we have Damian Priest defending against Gunther. I'll be honest with you. I don't think this would be the event to have Damian Priest drop the title. Somehow, some way, Damian Priest is going to work from underneath, and by the way, they've been cutting some incredible promos. I know the ones they've done in the ring together, and I know Gunther has done some promos in a silent, empty arena, which I think is I miss that element of it because it brings the realism into it. And I love the fact that he doesn't wear wrestling merch; he just wears a plain black T-shirt. I love it. I absolutely love it. But I think this match may be a disqualification. I don't know, to protect both guys, because there is a pay-per-view that's premium live event that's happening at the end of August called Bash in Berlin. I think that could be where Gunther could win the World Heavyweight Championship over in Germany. So I'm picking Damian Priest, my Monster Factory guy. As a matter of fact, Damian Priest is having a documentary coming out this week. This week, I believe it's Friday, and it's talking about his life, his career, and as somebody that shares our affiliation with the Monster Factory, I always root for them. And I was at WrestleMania where he did cash in on Drew McIntyre to win the World Heavyweight Championship. And let me just tell you, to see that happen live with one of our guys was truly, truly amazing to see, for him work his way up to where he is today. So, like I said, kudos and congratulations to Damian Priest and all his success that he's experiencing with WWE.
This episode of the D-Lew podcast is brought to you by Goalie Nutrition. As someone who's used Goalie for quite some time, I can tell you that they're not only very good, but they're very beneficial. My favorite are the Super Green Gummies. The Super Green Gummies are uniquely crafted with a spectrum of essential nutrients such as vitamins A, B12, folic acid, and thiamine. It supports a healthy liver function, healthy nervous and immune system, digestive health, a boost to your metabolism, and overall health and well-being. There are no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or colors from artificial sources. They're vegan-friendly, gluten-free, and gelatin-free. All loyal listeners of the D-Lew podcast get a special 10% discount at checkout. Go to goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. That's goalie.com, use promo code DLEW.
Next is the WWE Women's Championship match. Bayley defending against Nia Jax. Now, to me, this is probably Bayley's her biggest feud since she's had the title. I love the fact that, again, she working that underdog, and I love my babyface working from underneath. And I truly believe that Bayley will retain the title. I think she's going to retain the title. I think it'll be by mistake with Tiffany Stratton trying to interfere in the match and costing Nia the match. But I could totally see Tiffany Stratton cashing in on Bayley after Nia Jax maybe beats down Bayley and cashes in to win the WWE Women's Championship. So that would be an incredible rookie year for Tiffany Stratton for that to happen. I'm going on a limb. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, you know where to tweet me. But moving on, Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. And again, this obviously is a personal issue between these two with the love triangle with Dominic Mysterio. This past Monday, Liv was setting things on fire. She tore up the clubhouse, the Judgment Day clubhouse, whatever you call it. And I believe that someone's going to cost Rhea the match. And it could be Dirty Dom. It could be Dirty Dom, and Liv Morgan will retain the championship, the Women's World Championship. And next we have the undisputed WWE Championship match between Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa. Now, I am excited for the match. Don't get me wrong. Solo has really increased his value, increased his stock as the leader of this new bloodline. He's a threat because of, obviously, the three guys that's with him. But, man, I wish this match was Jacob Fatu and Cody Rhodes. But I know Jacob just got there under 2 months ago. And it's just obviously just building him up, as far as credibility, as far as wins and things like that. So I get it. But I don't see Solo winning the championship because, to me, there's still more meat on the bone in regards to Cody's championship run. I don't think it should end in 4 months. That's just nonsense to me. I could be totally wrong. But if this is the main event, and Cody goes over, I could totally see a certain tribal chief coming back to take claim to his throne, and that's Roman Reigns. Now, obviously, if this is a beatdown that's happening, on the bloodline, this new bloodline beating down Cody Rhodes, then maybe this can be the window for, a returning Roman Reigns to take place. The match, I know it's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of outside, interference, a lot of gaga, a lot of chaos. I get it. But, I think this is going to be an ongoing story that's going to be leading to WrestleMania. As far as what Roman and what The Rock is going to do. It just I believe that The Rock just got done filming his movie, so it's like, here we go. SummerSlam's here, and I believe that the early road to WrestleMania starts at SummerSlam. Now, for the next match, the match I've been looking for the longest time was Logan Paul defending the United States Championship against LA Knight. Yeah, and it's about time. LA Knight has been on the rise. For the last, let's say, year and a half or so. Ever since they got rid of the Max Dupree thing, and he's back to being LA Knight. I was at like I said, I was at WrestleMania last year, and I was at the SmackDown taping the night before night one of WrestleMania, and LA Knight was in the Battle Royal, and they started booing when he got eliminated. I'm like, okay, they got some. The fans are starting to get behind him. Then the Yeah movement started. The Yeah movement, similar to the Yes movement, but of course, shout out to the guy that owns the Yeah Revolution page on Twitter and Instagram. I know LA Knight acknowledged the page, but he felt as though that it should be called the Yeah Revolution. So thus, the guy ended up changing it to the Yeah Revolution on social media. But getting back to this feud with LA Knight and Logan Paul, obviously this speaking of last year, Money in the Bank, and LA Knight had cut a promo on, I believe it was Nakamura. I forgot who else was in the ring, but Logan Paul was in the ring. And oh man, he cut a scathing promo on Logan Paul, and the seeds were planted then. And this was before Logan Paul had become the U.S. champion. And of course, he pinned Logan Paul in a Money in the Bank qualifying match this year. So again, he has a win against the U.S. champion that really sets the tone. I think he did a vignette from Logan Paul's house. He somehow was able to get into his house and sitting out the pool at Logan Paul's pool, which is pretty cool stuff. But I definitely see a crowning of a new United States champion and one LA Knight. I'm going to be so happy, if that does happen, because it's a well-deserved accolade for a guy that's really been clawing and scratching and crawling for the last 20 years in the wrestling business, that didn't give up, that didn't, complain or whatever the case. He did what he had to do to get where he wanted to be. Next, we have, for the Intercontinental Championship, Sami Zayn defending against Braun Breaker. Now, I said last time that I thought Sami should go over, and I think this time is where we crown a new Intercontinental Champion, and that's in Braun Breaker. I think, this young blood, that's, obviously guys like him, Carmelo Hayes, you name it. All these, Tiffany Stratton, the list goes on and on of all these recent call of Ilya Dragunov, that was all being called up from NXT. They're really making it happen on the main roster. It seems like they have already been there for so long. So it really, really goes to show you the work they've been putting in down at the PC, and, the sky's the limit. So I believe the IC title will change hands, at SummerSlam, and the new champion will be Braun Breaker. Now, I don't know if this match is going to be the main event. I wouldn't be shocked if it is, because this match has been brewing. It really, I would say, since Survivor Series. When CM Punk came back, this is going to be CM Punk against Drew McIntyre. And of course, they're talking about, Punk coming back and people being upset, Seth Rollins being one of them and Drew McIntyre being another one. And then, of course, in the Royal Rumble, Drew McIntyre actually legit hurts, by accident, CM Punk, his tore his tricep, and on TV, he's like, I prayed for this. And he's going on social media trolling him. And it's crazy. And the next thing you know, Punk is at ringside doing commentary for the match between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre, in which Drew did win the title, but instead of going in the back to celebrate, he wants to taunt Punk. Punk beats him down. Damian Priest comes down with the briefcase, cashes in, and Drew McIntyre loses the World Heavyweight title. Then at the with the Clash at the Castle pay-per-view. Well, sorry, PLE. Punk was dressed up as a referee and cost Drew McIntyre the match. And then while they were in Chicago for, was it a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, I believe? It was a SmackDown. And Drew McIntyre bloodied up CM Punk pretty bad. And it was just incredible storytelling. Then, of course, at Money in the Bank, Drew does win Money in the he wins the briefcase. Then he cashes in later that night. And who cost him the title? CM Punk. But Punk didn't just cost him the title, but he cost Seth Rollins the title because Seth Rollins is in the match. So now this match is made official. Seth Rollins will be the special guest referee in this match. What's up with SummerSlam and special guest referees? I mean, we can go back in the day. The very first SummerSlam, August 29th, 1988, at Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. You got the Mega Powers. That's the red and yellow man and the Macho Man with Miss Elizabeth taking on the Mega Bucks. The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, Andre the Giant, along with Virgil and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Who did President Jack Tunney appoint as a special guest referee? Jesse the Body Ventura. Not only that, but just a mere 11 years later at SummerSlam 99, in a triple threat match for the WWF Championship, he had the champion Stone Cold Steve Austin defending against Mankind and Triple H. Who did they call in for a special guest referee? Jesse the Body Ventura. Then, of course, 2011, there was Triple H was the special guest referee for CM Punk versus John Cena. The list goes on and on. So, I mean, SummerSlam, and I'm sure I'm missing a few SummerSlams in there, but there's always been a special guest referee, at SummerSlam, which has always been, well, again, one of my favorite events of the year. Again, I still have so many incredible memories about the very first SummerSlam. And my one favorite SummerSlam, I know I'm going off the rails here, guys. I'm going to get to my Drew McIntyre CM Punk prediction in a second, but just one of my favorite SummerSlam matches was the British Bulldogs against the Fabulous Rougeau Brothers that went to a 20-minute time limit draw. So one of my favorite matches. But anyway, back to the topic at hand with Punk and McIntyre. I say Drew McIntyre does win the match due to some shenanigans. And I think this can lead to, because Punk did say on First Take, by the way, Punk was on First Take yesterday, all suited up, looked great, looked the part. I think that this is going to start leading to this feud with Punk and Seth Rollins, because he said on First Take after SummerSlam, he's absolutely done with Drew McIntyre. So I think if Seth cost Punk the match, then Punk would definitely have a reason to really get into this one-on-one feud with Seth freaking Rollins. So that's my prediction, in regards to SummerSlam and what I think is going to be, one incredible premium live event in front of a hot crowd. I mean, you got SmackDown that's taking place in Cleveland. And then, of course, you got SummerSlam. It's crazy that in 2026, SummerSlam is going to be in Minneapolis 2 whole nights. Wow. Unreal. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been an incredible show. I want to give send out prayers to the matriarch of the D-Loop podcast, Gabby. She had an unexpected, death in the family. As I'm recording this, she hit me up a few hours ago, and she said she couldn't go. She had a death in the family, so I want to send my love and positive energy out to Gabby and her family, and hope they get through this very, very difficult period. But in regards to the D-Loop podcast, again, if you're listening for the first time, there's a subscribe button on whichever platform you're listening on. So if it's YouTube, if it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, hit subscribe and you'll get all new content every single time. Okay. Also, I am still in the running for America's Top Hitmaker. I am in 3rd place right now in the 4th round. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you go to my social media. The link is in the bio. The link is in the bio, and all you got to do is vote once a day. It's absolutely free to do. That's it. And again, if I do win this, then we're talking about I can win some cash. I get to perform at South by Southwest, and I get featured in Rolling Stone magazine. That would be super cool. And I can shout out the D-Lou podcast and all you wonderful people that listen and support all that I'm doing. My music is still out there, of course. Espacion, Every Second Make It Count, Selfish Pride, the list goes on and on. Make sure you stream my stuff, stream the music, social media. The D-Lou podcast is on Instagram, X, as well as Facebook. My personal social media, again, The Real DT Lewis on all platforms with the exception of Facebook, which is Derrick T. Lewis official page. Hit up my merch store. Again, you can go to shop.derricklewis.com in addition to my pro wrestling tee store, which is pwt.derricklewis.com. Well, I'm going to get out of here, and as I always say, no matter what it is you do in life, always remember to make it count. See you next time.